Introduction.
Athletically gifted student athletes qualify for college academic scholarships because they practice the fundamentals of student athlete success in education. I hope the information in this presentation proves useful to school administrators, coaches, teachers, parents, and student athletes who care about student athlete success in education. Being successful is a consequence of being in good positions to be successful. Being in good positions to be successful comes from consistently executing the fundamentals of success. This presentation on academic eligibility training is about student athlete success in education. It is not about how to meet academic eligibility requirements in high school or college. That information is readily available from coaches, counselors, and the NCAA. Student athlete success in education occurs when his academic achievement meets the standards to qualify for college academic scholarship, period.
The history of academic eligibility.
Meeting academic eligibility standards is perhaps the most critical step in a student athlete's educational career, for doing so grants him the opportunity to practice and compete in his sport. Academic eligibility is a term of art that relates to the academic performance prerequisites for athletic participation. Its roots are grounded in low academic achievement theory and in a culture that cultivates attitudes and practices that discourage the significant effort necessary to achieve academic excellence. To get a thorough understanding of the history of academic eligibility from the 1960s through 2000, I recommend that you read the law review article entitled "A Historical Overview of Student Athlete Academic Eligibility and the Future Implications of Curitin versus NCAA," written by Michael Mondello. This law review article can be found at digitalcommons.villanova.edu/MSLJ/ISS1/6. Now, there are two different forms of academic eligibility that applies to college athletes. The first form is what's called initial eligibility. In 2005, the NCAA passed new incoming freshman academic eligibility legislation that raised the core course requirement for these students from 13 to 14, and in 2008, it raised the core course requirement from 14 to 16. The freshman class of 2006 will face even increased initial standards, wherein they must pass 10 of 16 core courses by the end of their junior year of high school, where 7 of 10 of these core courses must be either in English, math, or science, and they must have a 2.3 GPA in these core courses. The second category is called continuing eligibility. This is the form that applies to student athletes who are currently in college and playing sports. Once the student athlete attends college, he must meet continuing academic eligibility standards each year of college attendance to be able to play college sports. The continuing academic eligibility standard is designed to encourage the student athlete to make satisfactory progress toward earning a college degree. I won't go into the intricate details of the various continuing academic eligibility standards here, but they are spelled out in Section 14 of the NCAA manual, and for those athletes who become college athletes, your NCAA compliance officer and coaches will make you well aware of those standards. However, the one continuing academic eligibility standard I will briefly mention is the NCAA's latest and greatest regulation, called its Academic Progress Rate, otherwise known as the APR. The APR measures a team's academic success based on a formula devised by the NCAA. For example, in the 2013-14 year, a Division I team must have a 900 APR calculated on a 4-year basis, or a 930 APR measured on a 2-year basis, to be eligible for postseason play and to avoid penalties in the form of monetary fines and loss of scholarships. In 2015, the APR threshold will increase to 930 based on a 4-year calculation, or 940 based on a 2-year calculation. There is ample evidence that the establishment of the APR has caused college coaches to reconsider their recruitment of academically marginal student athletes, and has prompted student athletes to migrate to less rigorous academic majors to reduce the risk of causing the team to fall below the allotted APR threshold.
Academic eligibility training explained.
Academic eligibility training is the deliberate subjection of student athletes to academic excellence tools and practices that are designed to meet academic scholarship standards, that is, college academic scholarship standards. The purpose of academic eligibility training is to prepare the student athlete to qualify for college academic scholarships. By qualifying for college academic scholarships, the high-performing athlete attains what I call preferred student athlete status in the eyes of his parents and in the eyes of college coaches. To his parents, he satisfies their desire that he has money in the form of scholarship to pay the cost of college attendance based on intelligence. To college coaches, he satisfies their need for exceptional athletic talent and their need to have athletes that are likely to positively impact their team's APR. There are 4 parts to an effective academic eligibility training program. Part 1 is called the academic scholarship mindset. Unless a student is a genius, performing at a high academic achievement level is a difficult challenge in and of itself. Add to that the demands of being a successful athlete, and you see that becoming a successful student becomes even more difficult. Except an athlete set his mind on pursuing academic excellence, he will not earn college academic scholarships. Part 2. Academic scholarship standards. There is an old saying that you can't prove or improve that which you cannot measure. In sports, statistics serve as standards upon which we can measure player performance. Just as in the automobile industry, vehicle specifications serve as standards upon which we can measure the quality of a motor vehicle. And in education, there are 3 standards upon which we can measure academic scholarship performance. The first standard is called rigorous curriculum. A rigorous curriculum is one composed of demanding teachers who expect and demand that students consistently use higher order thinking skills, otherwise known as critical thinking skills, in demonstrating thorough competency of core course content. Rigorous classes are sometimes honors level classes, but are mostly gifted and advanced placement level classes. Unfortunately, many high-performing athletes rarely ever participate in rigorous high school curriculum. Standard number 2, grade point average. Academic scholarships are awarded to those who make good or excellent grades. A grade of C is average, and average is not good or excellent. Grades of B or better, or a 3.0 or better GPA, is academic scholarship quality. Standard number 3, standardized test scores. High-performing student athletes traditionally score at or below national standardized test levels. To qualify for college academic scholarships, these student-athletes must score above national average standardized test scores, which means scoring a 25 or more on the ACT or 1700 or more on the SAT. Any effective academic eligibility training program will always have standards that exceed NCAA academic eligibility requirements. Part 3. Academic Scholarship Tools. There are two tools that a student-athlete must have available to him at all times and must have mastery of, and they are: number 1, a computer with internet connection. We all know that a good education comes from having acquired knowledge, and acquiring knowledge comes from studying information. The internet is where vast information abounds, at little to no cost, in little to no time, and literally at the touch of a person's finger. Just look at Google, YouTube, the Khan Academy, and now the emergence of MOOCs. The second place where information abounds is the library. As basic as it may seem, this is the original depository of vast information, and it is the physical location where high-performance students have frequently been found engaging in serious research and thinking, and will continue to do so into the foreseeable future. Student-athletes need to be found on the internet researching and in the library researching. Part 4. Academic Scholarship Practices. There are 8 routine behaviors that high-performing student-athletes must engage in to perform at the college academic scholarship level. First practice, goal setting. Setting goals means making meeting or exceeding the standards of academic excellence your performance goal. High-performing athletes who set these goals never, ever consider the lower NCAA academic eligibility standards as part of their academic goals. Number 2, standardized test practice. High-performing student-athletes practice taking standardized tests early and often to familiarize themselves with the test format and the test content to ensure their chances of scoring at or above ACT, SAT, college scholarship standard levels. Number 3, homework plus. High-performance student-athletes not only complete their homework as assigned, but they attempt to complete all bonus materials as well, whether assigned or not. Bonus materials require the student-athlete to use higher-order thinking skills in synthesizing the basic information covered in the assigned homework. Number 4, study group participation. High-performing athletes must study with other serious-minded students, and the positive peer pressure of high academic achievement will further motivate the student-athlete in his quest to learn. Number 5, public speaking. High-performing athletes are provocative people who often have unique opportunities to express their thinking to masses of people. The ability to articulate greatly influences people's behaviors and enhances the student-athlete's wealth and well-being capacity. Number 6, questioning. Acquiring knowledge is a function of either good thinking or bad thinking. Good thinking is a function of processing information to the point of accurate comprehension. Bad thinking is a function of processing information to the point of inaccurate comprehension. An accurate comprehension of a subject comes from questioning the basis of the information and discovering the answers that come from it. Acquiring knowledge without questioning the information that forms the basis of the knowledge is merely a function of memorization. And although memorization is good in its proper context, it is limited and cannot support the requirements of higher order critical thinking. High performance athletes must become familiar with and regularly submit information that they learn to the fire of questioning to get to the true and accurate understanding. Number 7, core course extracurricular participation. High-performing students are not only enrolled in rigorous core classes, they often participate in core course-related extracurricular activities, such as the school's math club, science club, or related type clubs. Participation in these types of activities tends to reinforce and enhance the student's understanding of the core course content. Unfortunately, again, high-performance athletes rarely participate in such extracurricular activity, and thus they miss the valuable opportunity to grow their understanding of core course content in more practical and experiential ways. Number 8, time management. Both high-performance students and high-performance athletes devote substantial time in their endeavors. High-performance student athletes must adhere to a rigid schedule where approximately 12 hours in each day is spent in serious academic study and serious athletic training. 8 hours a day are spent resting, and the remaining 4 hours of the day are reserved for eating and recreating. Unfortunately, most high-performance athletes have the equation backwards. They engage in recreation activities during times they should be studying and training.
Conclusion.
In sum, academic eligibility is an educational concept born out of the spirit of low expectations in the classroom. Although academic eligibility standards have risen over the years and have positively impacted graduation rates among high school and college athletes, the design of the standards continue to promote a culture of academic mediocrity.
To get academic eligibility training for your school, your child, or your team, contact Serveology at phone 337-235-9988, email jsp@serveology, serveology.com, website www.serveology.com.